Once a year, an international airport shuts down completely. Not because of a storm, not because of a strike, not because of any emergency at all. It shuts down because an entire island, millions of people, chooses total silence, together, on purpose. No planes, no lights, no sound. And somewhere on that same island sits a mountain temple that survived a volcanic eruption so violent it should have wiped it off the map, yet it barely suffered a scratch. And to the people who worship there, that survival only proved how sacred the place truly is. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why silence and survival define this island more than any beach ever could. And if hidden rituals and secret corners of the world are the kind of thing that keeps you watching until the very end, this might be a good moment to subscribe, because we are only just getting started. That island, of course, is Bali. And before we even set foot on its rice terraces or its cliffside temples, you need to understand something most travelers never realize. Bali is not one island, it's three. Alongside the main island itself sit two smaller companions, Nusa Lembongan and Nusa Ceningan, plus a third larger sibling, Nusa Penida, each with its own personality, its own rhythm, its own secrets we'll get to later. Bali is also the only Hindu-majority region in the entirety of Indonesia, a country otherwise overwhelmingly Muslim, which gives the island a spiritual atmosphere found nowhere else in Southeast Asia. And that spiritual identity is exactly what fuels the tradition we opened with. It's called Nyepi, the Day of Silence, an annual event where the entire island stops. Not just quiets down, stops. The airport closes, the streets empty, even tourists are asked to stay indoors, lights off, voices low, for an entire day of reflection and stillness. Try to imagine that happening anywhere else in the world. An international airport voluntarily grounding every flight simply because a culture has decided that silence matters more than commerce for 24 hours. But that's not the only thing that makes Bali strange in the best possible way. This island is also home to the most expensive coffee on earth, Kopi Luwak, a brew made through a process so unusual it sounds almost invented. Civet cats eat the coffee cherries, digest them partially, and the beans that emerge afterward are collected, cleaned, and roasted. It sounds bizarre. It sells for a fortune. And coffee lovers travel here specifically to try it. And that's just a taste of how distinct Balinese culture really is. Its own language, its own dance forms, its own music, its own rituals, none of it borrowed, none of it diluted, a cultural universe operating almost independently within Indonesia itself. Nature enthusiasts get their own reward too, because Bali sits on top of active volcanic geology, with Mount Agung and Mount Batur both looming over the landscape, offering hiking experiences and views so dramatic they've become bucket list items on their own. And the island's magnetic pull isn't lost on the modern world either. Thriving expat communities have taken root in hotspots like Canggu and Ubud, drawing people from every corner of the globe who fall in love with the lifestyle and never quite leave. So whether you're chasing spiritual depth, cultural immersion, or pure outdoor adventure, Bali has built an entire island around giving you exactly that. Now let's actually walk through it, because what's coming next only gets stranger, older, and more breathtaking with every stop. We begin in the highlands, at the Tagalalong rice terraces, where emerald green fields cascade down rolling hillsides in perfect, sculpted layers. Sunrise here turns the entire landscape gold, and it's easy to treat it as just a postcard moment. But Tagalalong carries far more history than its Instagram fame suggests. These terraces exist because of Subak, an ingenious traditional irrigation system engineers built centuries ago to carry water evenly across every level of the slope. It's so sophisticated, so precisely balanced, that it earned recognition as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Walk through the fields, talk with local farmers about how the rice actually grows, and if you're feeling adventurous, you can even swing out over the entire valley on one of the terrace's famous photo swings. Tagalalong isn't just scenery, it's a living demonstration of how deeply the Balinese relationship with land and water runs. From there, a short drive brings you somewhere far wilder, the Ubud Monkey Forest, a protected sanctuary home to more than 700 long-tailed macaques. But monkeys aren't the only residents. Three ancient temples sit within its boundaries: Dalam Agung Padang Tegal, the Holy Spring Temple, and Prajapati Temple, each carrying its own religious weight. The forest itself spans roughly the size of 27 football fields, packed with over 186 different plant species. What makes this place genuinely fascinating is watching the macaques behave completely naturally, playing, climbing, interacting, with almost no fear of the humans wandering among them. They're used to visitors, which means they might wander right up to check you out, an encounter that's equal parts thrilling and mildly terrifying. It's a rare space where nature and religious tradition exist in the exact same footprint. Right in the center of Ubud waits something quieter but no less stunning. Pura Taman Kamuda Saraswati, a water temple dedicated to Saraswati, the Hindu goddess of knowledge and the arts. Intricately carved stonework covers nearly every surface, but the real centerpiece sits out front, a massive lotus pond that turns the entire courtyard into something close to meditative. Traditional Balinese dance performances sometimes take place right there in the temple courtyard, though even if you skip the show, simply wandering the grounds and absorbing the atmosphere is worth the stop on its own. A little further north, something even older awaits. Tirtha Empul Temple has drawn people seeking spiritual purification for more than 1,000 years. Built all the way back in 962 AD, its holy spring water treated almost like a wash for the soul. The architecture is ancient, the atmosphere impossibly calm, wrapped in dense greenery that muffles the outside world. And here's the detail that separates it from a museum piece. This temple is still active today. Visit on the right day, and you might witness locals performing traditional purification ceremonies exactly as they have for centuries. A genuine window into living Balinese Hindu practice, rather than a preserved relic behind glass. But not everything sacred here involves temples. Penglipuran village feels like stepping directly into Bali's past. A community that has deliberately preserved its traditional architecture and daily customs almost unchanged. The streets are immaculately clean, paved in stone, lined with traditional houses, and the sense of community cohesion is almost tangible. Chat with locals and you'll learn about customs and routines passed down with remarkable consistency. Because of how carefully they've protected their heritage, Penglipuran has earned a reputation as one of the cleanest, most fascinating villages on the entire island. And depending on timing, you might even find yourself invited into a local ceremony, welcomed with the kind of hospitality Bali is famous for. Now here's something that sounds almost like a trick. Picture a massive, ornately carved Balinese gate standing tall in front of rolling green hills and mist-covered mountains. It looks ancient, spiritual, monumental. It's actually the entrance to a golf course. The Handara Gate has become one of the island's most photographed landmarks purely because of how striking it looks. Its split design and detailed carvings framing the misty hills behind it so perfectly that most visitors never even realize its practical purpose. It's proof that beauty in Bali doesn't always come from centuries-old sacred ground. Sometimes it's simply architecture done exceptionally well. Just outside Ubud, Teganungan Waterfall offers a completely different kind of reset. Water cascading into a cool, clear pool surrounded by tropical vegetation. You can admire it from a viewing platform above or hike down for a closer, more immersive look. And the sheer power of the falling water is more impressive up close than any photo captures. Nearby cafes make it easy to turn the visit into a relaxed half-day escape, all just minutes from Ubud's busier streets. And then the terrain shifts entirely because central Bali holds one of the island's most demanding, most rewarding experiences, Mount Batur, an active volcano that draws hikers specifically for its sunrise trek. You start in total darkness well before dawn, climbing steadily as the sky slowly begins to lighten. Roughly 2 hours later, you reach the summit just as the sun breaks the horizon, revealing a panoramic view so dramatic it genuinely leaves people speechless. Volcanic terrain stretching in every direction, with Lake Batur resting inside its caldera far below. The climb itself is moderately challenging, manageable for anyone in reasonably good shape, but reaching that summit delivers something beyond the view alone, a real, physical sense of accomplishment that stays with you long after you've descended. Heading east, the landscape softens into royal history at Tirtha Ganga, a water palace built in 1948 by the last king of Karangasem. It feels almost frozen in time, like a garden party that never ended. Lush greenery wrapped around tiered fountains, carved stone statues, and pools fed directly by natural springs. Wander the winding pathways, cross stepping stones laid across the water, and if you're up for it, take a dip in one of the refreshing pools yourself. The name itself, Tirtha Ganga, translates to holy water from the Ganges, a direct nod to its spiritual significance, and the whole site doubles as a quiet lesson in how deeply water functions as both a literal and symbolic source of life in Balinese belief. Not far away sits a second, very different water palace, Taman Sukasara Ujung, built in 1909 by another king of Karangasem. Where Tirtha Ganga feels intimate, this one feels grand. blending traditional Balinese style with unmistakable European architectural influence. Expansive gardens, ornamental pools you can admire but not swim in, and elegant bridges connect the entire estate, framed by sweeping views of both ocean and mountains. It stands as a testament to how skilled Balinese builders were, and to just how extravagantly Balinese royalty once lived. But if you want to see something truly unlike anything else on the island, Gunung Kawi Temple delivers it. This is essentially an open-air museum carved directly into a cliff face more than 1,000 years ago. 10 massive shrines, each standing 7 meters tall, cut straight into solid rock. Most historians believe they served as tombs for Bali's ancient kings and queens. The temple sits surrounded by vivid green rice fields and a quiet flowing river, creating an atmosphere that feels equal parts sacred and serene. It's not just old, it's a physical record of Bali's religious history and identity, carved in stone that has survived for over a millennium. For those wanting to escape the crowds entirely, Pura Gunung Sengging offers exactly that. A peaceful temple tucked into the countryside, dedicated to the mountain gods, wrapped in lush greenery and scenic views most tourists never see. Wander the grounds, and if timing lines up, you might catch a local ceremony unfolding in real time, an intimate, unfiltered glimpse into how Balinese religion actually functions away from the tourist trail. And speaking of untouched, Sideman Valley in eastern Bali looks like something pulled straight from a postcard. Rice terraces climbing green hills like giant staircases. Small traditional villages scattered across a landscape where life moves noticeably slower. In the distance, you can often spot Mount Agung, the island's great volcano, standing watch over it all. Hike, bike, or simply wander through the fields and villages. And if you want something hands-on, local workshops teach traditional weaving techniques used across the island. For travelers craving the real, unfiltered rhythm of Bali, Sideman delivers it without compromise. Which brings us to Mount Agung itself, the tallest mountain on the island at 3,031 meters, and, to the Balinese, considered the literal home of the gods. Climbing it is no casual afternoon activity. It demands a full day of trekking through dense forest and steep, punishing terrain. But those who make it are rewarded with sweeping views of the entire island and beyond. Because of both its religious weight and its raw physical scale, Mount Agung sits at the intersection of spiritual pilgrimage and serious outdoor adventure. A brutal climb, but one locals and travelers alike describe as entirely worth it. Near its slopes waits Lempuyang Temple, one of the oldest and most important holy sites on the island. Built across 7 ascending levels, each with smaller shrines leading up toward the main sanctuary at the top. And now we arrive at the place that finally answers the question we opened with. Because remember that mountain temple, the one that survived a violent eruption almost untouched? That's Besaki Temple, built directly on the slopes of a volcano, and considered the most important Hindu temple on the entire island. People call it the Mother Temple, and for good reason. It isn't one single structure, it's a complex of 23 separate temples, arranged in ascending tiers like a giant staircase up the mountainside, each section dedicated to different gods and goddesses. The views from up there stretch across nearly all of Bali's natural beauty at once. Historians believe Besaki is extraordinarily old, likely dating back thousands of years, with some temple foundations resembling structures built at least 2,000 years ago, tying it to prehistoric spiritual practice on the island. And here's the moment that changed everything. In 1963, the volcano right beside it erupted violently. Lava and destruction spread across the surrounding landscape. Yet Besaki itself survived almost entirely intact. To the Balinese, that wasn't luck. That was proof. Proof that this ground truly was sacred, protected by something beyond ordinary explanation. And that near miss only deepened the temple's spiritual significance rather than damaging it. After that kind of intensity, Padang Bai offers the perfect place to slow back down. This charming coastal village functions as a ferry port to other islands, but treating it as just a transit stop would be a mistake, because it holds its own quiet magic. Relax on the pristine sand of Blue Lagoon Beach, where crystal clear water teems with colorful fish, just waiting to be snorkeled past. Or if you want to go further, Diving trips head out to vibrant coral reefs and hidden underwater caves nearby. Local eateries and markets round out the experience with fresh seafood and traditional Balinese cuisine, all wrapped in the kind of laid-back atmosphere that makes it easy to simply unwind before continuing your journey. Heading further north, Bali offers an entirely different rice terrace experience at Jatiluwih. Where Tagalalang feels steep, dramatic, and often crowded, Jatiluwih spreads out across more than 600 hectares, rolling green hills stretching as far as the eye can see, perfect for a peaceful walk or an easy bike ride. Like its more famous counterpart, Jatiluwih earned UNESCO World Heritage status thanks to the same ingenious Subak irrigation system. And here you can see its full scale in action, carrying water methodically across an enormous stretch of farmland. The views turn especially golden at sunrise and sunset, and because far fewer tourists make the trip, you get space to actually absorb the connection between the Balinese people and the land that sustains them. From there, the landscape opens into something almost dreamlike at Pura Ulun Danu Bratan, a temple complex that appears to float directly on a lake, framed by cool mountain air in Bedugul, North Bali. During the rainy season, rising water levels create the illusion that the entire temple is drifting on the surface. Dedicated to Dewi Danu, the goddess of water, this site holds deep significance for ceremonies tied to water and agriculture, elements the Balinese consider central to their very survival. Manicured gardens and intricate architecture surround the lake, and a peaceful boat ride across the water lets you take in the temple's reflection, shimmering on the glassy surface. An almost hypnotic scene that makes this one of the most essential stops in northern Bali. And northern Bali doesn't stop there, because this region turns out to be a paradise for waterfall lovers, offering everything from quiet jungle hikes to genuine adrenaline. Start with Git Waterfall, often called the most beautiful on the island, reached by walking through lush jungle, past rice fields and small villages. Here, 7 separate waterfalls plunge into clear pools, perfect for a cooling swim, while the sound of falling water fills the air around you. For those chasing more excitement, Aling Aling Waterfall delivers exactly that, a 35-meter cascade flowing into a deep pool. But the real draw is the natural rock water slides and jumping spots nearby, with guided tours ensuring you slide and jump safely while still getting the full thrill. If peace and quiet is what you're after instead, Banyumala Twin Waterfall hides inside a calm valley wrapped in rainforest. Its clear pool below practically built for relaxing, while the sound of the falls washes stress away. And further north still, the hidden treasure of Fiji Waterfall waits near Sambangan village, 3 separate cascades pouring down green cliffs, reached only by an adventurous hike through cool mountain air, rewarding those who make the trip with refreshing water and near-total solitude. Tucked into Bali's cool mountain interior beside another quiet lake sits Pura Ulun Danu Tamblingan, an old temple surrounded by thick forest and mist-wrapped mountains. It's remote enough, quiet enough, that it feels like a completely different Bali from the beaches and tourist centers in the south. The temple is one of several built along the lake to honor Dewi Danu, and wandering its grounds, sometimes catching a traditional ceremony in progress, offers a serene, lesser-known way to connect with Balinese spiritual life away from any crowd. To close out the north, Menjangan Island offers one final spectacular stop, a small island renowned for its underwater world and part of West Bali National Park. Snorkel or dive through crystal-clear water surrounded by vibrant coral reefs and schools of fish. And if you're fortunate, a sea turtle might glide right past you. Guided tours can take you deeper into the reef system, or you can simply relax on the pristine beaches above the surface. Menjangan is genuinely stunning both above and below the waterline, making it a fitting final chapter to any northern Bali adventure. Turning south now, our journey continues at Garuda Vishnu Kencana Cultural Park, essentially a massive cultural complex built around Hindu mythology. Its centerpiece is a colossal statue of Vishnu riding the mythical bird Garuda, standing an almost unbelievable 120 meters tall, making it one of the tallest statues anywhere on Earth. The park itself sprawls across more than 60 hectares, functioning almost like a one-stop introduction to Balinese culture and history, complete with exhibits, traditional dance performances, live music, and sprawling gardens surrounding the statue. If you only have time for one cultural stop on the island, this complex alone captures an enormous amount of what makes Bali special. Leaving the towering statue behind, the coastline pulls you toward Uluwatu Temple, perched dramatically on a cliff edge overlooking the crashing waves of the Indian Ocean. This isn't just a scenic photo stop, it's considered one of the most important temples on the island, believed to protect Bali from evil spirits. The views from these cliffs are extraordinary at any time of day, but especially at sunset, when the sky bursts into color behind the silhouette of the temple. And here's where it gets even more memorable. Uluwatu hosts performances of kechak, a mesmerizing traditional dance where a large group of men chant in hypnotic rhythm while acting out scenes from the ancient Indian epic, the Ramayana. Add in the resident population of monkeys wandering the grounds, unofficial mascots of the temple, and you've got a stop that's equal parts spiritual, cultural, and mildly chaotic. Keep a firm grip on your sunglasses and hats, because these monkeys have a well-earned reputation as opportunistic thieves. From there, Tanah Lot Temple delivers one of the most photographed sites on the entire island, a temple perched directly on a rock formation just offshore, surrounded by ocean. Dedicated to the sea gods, it's only accessible on foot during low tide, and even when the tide is in and the temple itself is out of reach, the surrounding area still offers breathtaking ocean views, local shops for souvenirs, and eventually, the temple transforming into a dramatic silhouette as the sun sets behind it. It's an essential stop on virtually every Bali itinerary, and once you see it in person, it's easy to understand why. Now it's time to leave the main island behind entirely. Because remember those 3 islands we mentioned at the very beginning? This is where they finally come into play, and they might be the most visually stunning chapter of this entire journey. We start on Nusa Penida, where jaw-dropping landscapes meet beaches that genuinely look unreal. Begin your adventure at Kelingking Beach, famous for cliffs so dramatic they've been compared to the silhouette of a T-Rex. Reaching the sand below requires descending a long, punishing staircase, but the payoff, secluded white sand and impossibly clear water, makes every step worth it. Next comes Angel's Billabong, a natural pool carved directly into the cliffside, ideal for a refreshing swim during low tide, though strong waves crashing through the rocks demand real caution. During high tide, the pool transforms entirely, turning into a surreal infinity-style oasis, where the water appears to stretch endlessly toward the horizon. Just a short distance away sits Broken Beach, also known as Pasi Ug, where erosion has carved a dramatic natural archway straight through the cliff face. At high tide, waves crash violently through that arch, a raw display of the ocean's power, while at low tide, a hidden pathway beneath it reveals a secluded beach, a true hidden gem most visitors never even find. For something quieter, Gamat Bay rewards a scenic trek down with clear water teeming with fish and vibrant coral, ideal for snorkeling in near-total tranquility. And for anyone chasing a genuinely world-class encounter, Manta Point delivers exactly that. A renowned diving and snorkeling site where graceful manta rays glide gracefully through the water, drawn in by rich currents and natural cleaning stations. Swimming alongside these gentle giants is the kind of experience that stays with you permanently. Finally, a rugged hike leads to Atu Beach, where unique rock formations and a limestone peninsula connected by a natural bridge create scenery unlike anywhere else on the island. Unlike the island's more dramatic cliffside stops, Atu offers calm water and a genuinely peaceful atmosphere, the perfect place to unwind after an exhausting, unforgettable hike. From there, we move to the smaller, gentler Nusa Lembongan, where the pace slows considerably. Dream Beach and Sandy Bay are ideal for sunbathing and swimming, while the calm waters of Mushroom Bay make it a favorite for snorkeling and paddleboarding. This island is equally famous for its vibrant coral reefs, drawing divers and marine life enthusiasts from all over. For those craving a bit more intensity, Devil's Tier delivers dramatic views of powerful waves crashing violently against the cliffs below. And if you happen to notice patches of green stretching across parts of the shallow water, those are seaweed farms, a cornerstone of Nusa Lembongan's local economy for decades, producing high-quality seaweed used in everything from cosmetics to food additives. A quiet but essential glimpse into the island's traditional, sustainable way of life. Finally, our journey closes on the smallest of the 3, Nusa Ceningan, connected to Nusa Lembongan by a striking yellow suspension bridge. This tiny island somehow packs in both adventure and tranquility. Its blue lagoon has become famous for cliff jumping into brilliant turquoise water, while quieter spots like Secret Beach offer a peaceful retreat for anyone who's had enough adrenaline for one day. Together, Nusa Lembongan and Nusa Ceningan round out this trilogy of islands with the perfect balance of relaxation and thrill, proving that Bali's story never really ends at its main coastline. It simply keeps unfolding, island after island, secret after secret. And that, in the end, is the real story of Bali. Not just a single island of beaches and sunsets, but a layered world of ancient shrines carved directly into cliffs, royal water palaces frozen in time, a temple that survived an eruption and became even holier because of it, and an entire population willing to shut down an international airport simply to honor a single day of silence. From the golden terraces of Tagalalang to the floating illusion of Pura Ulun Danu Bratan, from the manta rays of Nusa Penida to the sacred slopes of Mount Agung, every corner of this island seems to hold one more secret than you expected. If this journey showed you a side of Bali you never knew existed, let us know in the comments which stop surprised you the most. And check out the next video on this channel because there are other islands out there hiding stories just as extraordinary as this one.